All right, I guess we're gonna film this on my phone because my computer is lagging. So, wouldn't you know? This is a read it or unhaul it. I feel like I've been all over the place. I have mostly been focusing on all of the books for my reading challenge from the library. And I started off the year doing like little basket videos, and that was all fun, but now I'm just kind of like trying to streamline this a little bit better because sometimes I just need to jump into a book, or I'm not feeling the book that I chose out of the basket. Well, it got just kind of messed up because in addition to reading those books, I started also reading The Throne of Glass, and then I got a bit derailed over the summer. We're gonna go take a look around my shelves and just see the absolute chaos and mess. It is ridiculous that I have outgrown my shelves, and something must be done. For my regular reading, I still have a bit ways to go for my reading challenge, but I wanted to have a little fun and do a bit of decluttering. I find doing these read it or unhaul it to be really fun and really refreshing to just declutter in that way. We're going to deviate a little bit from that reading challenge and even some of the books that I am slowly slogging through. Try to pick up some that are going to be a little bit of an easier read, that if I'm not enjoying them, they're going to go. When I'm finished reading all of the prompts from that reading challenge also, I'm going to be doing a read it or unhaul it jar officially. I have one shelf in particular, or a few shelves in particular. They're all the same types of books and genre of books in particular that I want to clean up. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of all of my shelves, and then we're going to go take a look at the shelf that we're going to tackle in this vlog. Let me flip the camera around and let's go. This up here is a mess because today was a really big filming day and I've got books everywhere for that. I've actually put away most of them. It doesn't look like it. I keep going back and forth and doing like an official tour as well. Here is all like my fantasy. Specific authors I did kind of group together. And then this is really like young adult fantasy retellings. And then we get into like just books that really focus on witches. And then middle grade children's book. And then science fiction on the bottom, which kind of goes all the way across. It kind of doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. It's bugging me, I know. And then going up, we have more like all vampire stuff. I don't know where this goes. Priory of the Orange Tree, I literally have no idea. I don't exactly have a space for just epic fantasy. I got some steampunk down there too. I don't even freaking know. Whatever this is. we got some romantasy starting over here. And then I think this is more horror. And then I don't even know what that is. Sergi Mass. These are obviously like kind of retellings. They don't necessarily go there. These, all of my Shadowhunter books. Oh, these don't usually go there. These usually go up there, but I had them pulled out because I literally have to get a ladder to get those down. So they need to go back up there here in a minute. Ran out of space stack, but it looks intentional. Vampire stuff. Vampire, this is not vampire over there, obviously. Short stories, graphic novels. This is all kind of like my fiction, literary fiction, general fiction stuff. This top shelf is really kind of directed towards dark academia stuff, but that kind of concept starts to float around a little bit. This is ridiculous. These double stacks, it's so bad. Then, oh, and on here, On here we also have, whatever, I don't even know. Poetry. I actually have so much freaking poetry and drama down there. And then this is all of my classics. So as a these are like my Russian and other stuff. It started out as Russian, but then I needed that space in the corner, so other stuff started making its way up there. And then this is all my Dickens and some other classics. This is all, you know, stuff that kind of goes with this kind of classic stuff. I don't like have the words to explain it. This is like classic retellings, and then it moves into other classics, and it kind of moves into like modern classics a little bit, and then we have more modern classics. That doesn't go there. That just got set there today. This is hiding a bunch of small stuff, so I just thought that looked really nice and I needed a place to put it. And then we go into more like historical and reference and random stuff. Okay, the shelf that I want to tackle is over here. So this is my young adult fantasy. One of them I've actually already plucked from the shelf, and that is Black Ice by Becca Fitzpatrick, because this will satisfy a winter book for my reading challenge. So that's kind of cool that I can kind of do two birds with one stone. I think that's the only one I can do that with. So up here I have this one, Roseblood by A.G. Howard. And A.G. Howard, if you know, wrote Splintered, which is kind of the Alice in Wonderland retelling. I hated it. And I had this one on my shelf too, but I got rid of Splintered and the other book I had in that series. And then I didn't realize that she had also wrote this book. And I was looking at my shelves and I was like, oh, I'm not expecting this to be a good book either. So I'm gonna go ahead and, this is kind of like a Phantom of the Opera retelling. Obviously it looks very reminiscent of it, but apparently it's more modern, and it's we'll see how that goes. I do really love the Phantom of the Opera story, and I do want to like this. I think that'd be cool. Apparently it's about this girl who has like a curse, but I really don't have high hopes for it. And even if I did like it, I'm probably not going to keep it. So, you know, there's actually a lot of books, and I have another video I actually have a video planned. We're going to talk about this because I have so many books that are like one-time reads for me. There are books that if I love them, I will keep them and cherish them and even reread them. But there are other books that even if I really enjoyed them, I just don't see myself rereading them. Next one is this one called Becoming Jinn. And I went on Goodreads and kind of looked at some more reviews for this. The more I sit with it, I'm just like, oh God, I don't know. I maybe don't even want to waste my time trying to read the first chapter or whatever. I really like the concept of genies. This is about a girl who, she like wakes up one morning and there's a silver bangle on her wrist, and for her, it's like, in this world, you're like born with the genie gene, and when she turns 16, she has to like start becoming this genie. And I generally really like stories that kind of start that way. Don't have high hopes for this one either. There's two more right here. We have The Beloved Wild, and I feel like this one is supposed to take place in like a dark forest setting, and that's why I wanted it. Another 16-year-old narrator, Harriet Winter, can cook, clean, spin, and sew. She's a good daughter, certainly of age to become a biddable wife. Except for one problem, there's not a biddable bone in her body, and she will not marry Daniel Long, the neighbor whose initials whittled on everything he possesses. Spell D-U-L, dull. Get it? Harriet wants to decide her own future. I feel like this is a concept that I'm like kind of already tired of because it's done so much in fantasy, because a lot of fantasy kind of takes place in an older time or with royals who are kind of married off into families. And I do like that. I really like that concept, but it's just everything just gets tiring when it's over and over and over, you know what I mean? So it really comes down to like how it all plays out, the chemistry or lack thereof between them, the kind of character that she is, the stakes involved. Harriet makes her way west by wagon with Gideon White trying to forget Daniel, about whom she's lately had second and third thoughts. At last they arrive at the thick wilderness where Gideon intends to make his home, and it is here, amid sickness, temptation, unexpected guests, and never-ending battle to create a clearing in the woods, that Harriet finally understands what it is she really wants from her life and herself. Honestly, I'm kind of bored. I'm already feeling kind of bored reading the synopsis, so that'd be a good one to kind of figure out just the vibes. I feel like in the first couple of chapters, first 40 pages, probably will give me a good idea whether or not it's worth continuing or not. Next one, I feel like this one actually is going to be really good, and that is The Forgotten Book. She also wrote the book Jumper, which is another book I really want to read. Like that cover. Can I go there, please? Emma's used to things going her way. Her father is headmaster of her prestigious boarding school. Okay, already points for boarding school. Her friends take her advice as gospel, and she's convinced that a relationship with her longtime crush is on the horizon. Then a little bit of angst there. Okay, could be good. Could be tragic as well. Then Emma finds an old book in an abandoned library. Libraries, check. And things really start going her way. Anything she writes in the book comes true. A little, what is that anime where the death note? Ooh, okay, this could be super fun. What does she want out of life? I feel like she's gonna be too nice. The power of the book is not without consequences, and Emma soon realizes that she isn't the only one who knows about it. Someone is determined to take it from her, and she'll stop at nothing to succeed. Why do I feel like it's going to be her crush? The arrogant, aloof, and irritably handsome Darcy De Winter becomes Emma's unlikely ally as secrets are revealed and danger creeps ever closer. I hope when they say danger, they mean like unbelievably high stakes. And that's it for now, okay? There are still more on this shelf. So depending on how I do with this stack, I think I'm going to have 3 DNFs. We'll see how I do with the stack, and then we'll revisit this later, and I'll catch up with you later. Okay, we're here with a bit of an update. First with Black Ice by Becca Fitzpatrick. And I just feel like I've fully lost interest in this. Like, I don't even want to pick this book up. I don't think that it's bad. It starts off very violently. And I just think that because I'm not engaged in it, I just don't care about the characters. I don't know. I was kind of a little bit disappointed in that because I did feel like this book was going to be a good like book to read for the winter. But yeah, it's just, I'm not vibing with it. I know that I can also pick this book up easily from my library. I can get the audiobook. So I might go ahead and unhaul it. The last thing I want to do is try to keep pushing through a book that I just already am feeling dread about. And like I said, it's not a bad book. It's just, it's not my typical genre that I go for. I feel like I'm in a very decluttery mood, and I just, like, I don't even want to deal with it right now. I'm feeling blah vibes about the structure of it already. Not really even the structure, like the characters, I guess. I don't know. So then I went ahead and moved on to the Forgotten Book, and I just feel like the cover just seems so whimsical. I feel like a lot of this, wanting to read this book, comes from that cover design and my expectations. And like, it's, again, this is not a bad book, but I'm like 40% of the way through it, and I'm just, again, kind of feeling blah about it. So this is about this girl who's at this like boarding school, and there's this library, and her and her friend find this book. So she finds a book, so she slowly learns that whatever you write in the book, it's kind of like your wishes come true. And then there is a cost, and we're kind of getting what that means as far as what the cost is. I think definitely it's going to amp up to being more, right now it just kind of feels a little bit silly. Like there's like a paper dragonfly or whatever flying around, and she's talking to it, and there's just something off about it that I'm just kind of like not liking. There's a character named Darcy de Winter, and I don't think I have to explain which name that was concocted from, and it's supposed to be very so our main character asks this character Darcy to join their like literary club, and she has this like, she like just made it up because she wanted to spend time with him or something. He kind of acts like a Mr. Darcy and being very like aloof and bothered by things, and it's just like whatever, I don't care. I'm assuming he's supposed to be like the love interest, or we're supposed to hate him and think that he is the one that's trying to steal this magical book. I don't know that I even care to find out if the stakes are gonna get more dangerous, but they seem kind of silly at this point. Cost or price for using the book so far is like a paper butterfly or dragonfly that like talks to her, and then she's like, oh, you're not supposed to talk, and I'm like, so I'm probably just gonna DNF that book as well. And I think the next book I'm gonna go ahead and read is Becoming Jinn. I actually had higher expectations for The Forgotten Book. This one I have been on and off thinking maybe I shouldn't even bother and just go ahead and chuck it in the unhaul pile, but there is still just something that I'm very curious about, and it kind of feels like almost feels like a little bit of a Buffy-esque story, and I might, if it's good, I might be able to get into it because of that element. So that's kind of what's driving my motivation to actually go through with and attempt to read this book. So we'll update later. Okay, I have finished Becoming Jinn, and overall this was a very surprising experience. I really enjoyed the experience. I felt it was very interesting. It was fresh and new. And I'm on the fence of whether or not I really want to continue on with the series. There is something that was revealed to us about our main character, about why her gift is exceptional in comparison to the other girls in her czar. And I don't know, I think that there is something potentially worth carrying on. I think it's only a duology too, which is nice. It's not gonna be like this, okay, now I have to read this really long series. There's like only one more book. So we'll see. But that also being said, you know, the whole reason of doing this like read it or unhaul it video is to declutter my shelves, and I do think that I need to sit down with this book and maybe make some pretty good notes. But I do think I'm gonna go ahead and put this book in the unhaul pile. I don't necessarily need to hold on to this book anymore. Yeah, I read it. It was good. We'll see about carrying on with the series. I would have to, this book doesn't have any audiobook, so I'd have to rent the ebook for it. They did kind of set up for a kind of romantic trope to which they subverted. I thought we were gonna go down that path of like kind of a love triangle thing, and there's a little bit of that, but also there's not, which I really appreciate. It's just done differently, which I very much appreciate. I also like in this that there is this close relationship between the daughter and her mother. So many times books are, they just kind of leave the parents out of them because they want to focus on the teenagers, which I feel like that's kind of unrealistic, and this was refreshing in that way as well. But yeah, there's so much I want to talk about. I'll probably talk about it. I'm gonna spend some time kind of collecting my thoughts on it, and we'll talk about it in my wrap up eventually. We have 2 more to go. That is The Beloved Wild and Rose Blood. Ooh, okay, this one's kind of cool. Like, the text is red. You probably can't tell from there, but the text is actually in red, which is kind of interesting. But I'm mostly in the mood to get into this one. This one's a little bit shorter as well. Sora, what are you doing, buddy? He's come up here to talk. Sora. What are you doing, buddy? Sora, what are you doing? You just gonna sit there? Okay. So, hey, no. It's stop it. Oh my God. He's playing with that little crystal dangling from there. Stop it, baby. Okay. Maybe, I don't know. It seems like kind of a different premise where our main character is actually kind of running away from her problems. We'll see how this goes. Hey guys, we are here to update about Beloved Wild. This is dreadfully boring. I tried. I really tried. I got to page 40. No, I got to page 49. And I actually read like the first 2 chapters, and then I had set it down for a little bit. Then I started over, and I find myself just wanting to skip over and kind of skimming the pages to be like, yeah, we're not doing anything. Like, let's see if this picks up. I even went as far to flip to the very end of chapter, and I just don't care. I really just don't care. It's very slow paced, which, depending on the book, I was trying to be really patient with that in mind, because it kind of feels like a Pride and Prejudice. There is this small town where our main character lives, and her brother wants to leave and make a name for himself. He wants to leave and have something of his own and build it from the ground up. And I guess we got into some of their other friends might want to go in on this. And she is plagued with the thought of having to get married to someone she finds incredibly dull. And then there's going to parties, and there was one party scene. There was one party scene where the guy that she would have gotten married to is like dancing with and showing affection to other women, and she's like, I'm okay with that. And it just is very I mean, she wants to complain about Daniel being boring. This book is boring. Sorry. Everything about this is boring. It is going in the goodbye, I'm done with it heap. So the next one was Rose Blood by A.G. Howard. And this, I already pre-looked it up on Goodreads a little bit. The ratings are not good. Most of the ratings are between 3 and 5 stars, but they're all kind of even. And I don't see an overwhelming hype about this at all. I did read something about vampires, so maybe there's something kind of promising in here. I hope that I like it enough to finish it, even if it doesn't wow me. But my expectations are very low, so maybe I will be surprised. Let's cross our fingers and hope for the best. We're here to update about Rose Blood, and I've DNF'd it. And honestly, it did not take me very long at all. I thought it was going to probably be a harder decision to go ahead and DNF this book, but I ended up DNFing it very early on. We start out with our main character. I don't even know her name. I don't even care. Our main character, and she's being taken to some special school. Her father has passed. Her father apparently is a descendant of the original Phantom. They kind of alluded to it. We haven't completely gotten into what happens with her, why it happens to her. I didn't give it that much time, but apparently whenever she hears music, it just kind of takes over and bad things happen, like windows breaking. I'm assuming that's probably what had happened to her face. You can see even in the cover, she was wearing a mask, and there's something to do with a fire. So I'm assuming that her ability got the best of her. A fire started and she was burnt and disfigured and now wears a mask, looking like great granddaddy Phantom. This is not gonna work for me. I'm really honing when retellings do it good. And I don't necessarily think I like when retellings twist the original. It never stands out as something that was a really good idea. I more or less only like when retellings, and I guess they're not considered retellings at that point because they're not doing anything to the original, they're just expanding on that idea. That's the only way I have found that I like retellings done. For example, S.T. Gibson's book about the wives of Dracula, like, she doesn't change anything, but she gives the wives their own story. It's a completed work in and of itself. Even if you hadn't read Dracula, I feel like you could read that book and enjoy it. And it just kind of, like I said, it takes the original and it expands on it. And this is like taking the original and obviously completely changing it. They put magic in the system. Like, I feel like they're also kind of missing the point. There was something I felt that this book started to kind of do, and I feel like it completely missed the point of what the Phantom from the Phantom of the Opera was. What was wrong. And I think what they're going to try to do is say that he had magic or something like that. What?
Do we have more?
We do not. Unless you're... Now, obviously, I quit way too early on, but I already started to feel like it was going to be doing this thing with the original story where, I don't know how else to explain it, but it like cheapens and twists it twists the intentions of the original story, completely missing the point that the Phantom from the original story was driven mad by loneliness, isolation, and love. Sorry about that. I feel like we're getting into hairy territory where we're completely missing the message and the point from the original. Because the original, the Phantom, was driven mad by loneliness and isolation and love. And the trail that this is starting to go down with this introduction to magic and this obsession with music itself, I think is really just missing the point. And I'm not liking that. So either way, also, we were putting this down. But now I can go ahead and unhaul that book. From the 5 books that I picked, I'm unhauling every single one of them, and I read one which I liked. All of the others were DNFs. That's crazy. But overall, I'm feeling very positive about this. That's a huge space freed up on my bookshelves. I considered keeping this going, but I think I'm gonna end this vlog here. I'm kind of done for the moment reading shitty books. I'm actually working on a vlog right now with my son. We're swapping books. I'm going to be reading a book that's his favorite book. He's chosen a book for me to read that he thinks I'm going to like. That's one of his favorites. And I have picked...
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Alexa, stop. And then I have picked out a book for him that I think he's really going to like. I wouldn't say it was a favorite, but I just think that it's well suited for him. That's probably going to take some time. Instead of doing a read it or unhaul it, I want to do a anticipated 5-star read to kind of mix things up and choose a book that I really thought I was going to like. That's that. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.